on a normal day, normal circumstances, I wouldn't really be super into Bible verses, we'll say. I'm not one to quote Bible verses, although, as you can see here, there's a couple that I'm very fond of. And it's all kind of coming together. It's all coalescing in such a way that the answers are being revealed more and more each day. One of the things I've been working on lately has been manifesting desires again. And it's probably been a year now, a year and a half, maybe even 2 years. I'm not sure. Lost concept of time at this point. Since we did the manifesting your desires with a beautiful blessing of Chippy the bird. So I'd like to return to that now. But before attempting anything, any further experiments, I really want to solidify this idea that I've got going of embodying the truth, embodying the light in the world, embodying your full potential in order to even be able to allow these things to happen in the first place. Because it goes without saying that if you're not well adjusted, if you're not centered and grounded and doing the work, that's the reason that you're not going to be able to manifest jack shit. Be honest, be frank. The ones who are doing great things in this world are the ones who have found themselves at the center point, right? Who know what their mission is. They know why they're here. They know what they're going to do, or what they're here to do, and they're not going to let anything or anyone stand in their way. And then, of course, no surprise, they manifest just amazing, great things. So you have to ask yourself, is that happening for them because they just believe in it so much that they're making it happen? We often see this on the other side of the equation here, where your fears or your expectations, your negative expectations will lend themselves to a self-fulfilled prophecy of sorts, where these things are being manifested on the counterproductive side. I hate to use the term negative, but I mean, they're not beneficial to us in any way, those things. On the other hand, are there mistakes? I'm a big fan of Richard Rudd, and one of Richard Rudd's journeys on this app is one on unity, and it's fantastic. He touches on so many points that this is sort of what inspired me to make this video. So in addition to going through these quotes, as we'll go through them in a second here, you'll see that there's some recurring themes of light, truth, overcoming adversity, those sort of things. The journey of life is what it is. That's what it comes down to. Because though we don't want to stay in a place of perceived negative experiences, turmoil, it is also a necessary part of life. And it's what allows us to grow, to evolve as individuals, as soul. So, but is it just a matter of belief, though? Right? This is what I ask myself. I'm at this point now where I'm saying it's beyond just belief. It's not a matter of, oh, I just believe in it so much, that whole fake it till you make it thing. No, there's something else. There's that, yes, but that's just a small fraction. That's just the beginning of it. A very small fraction of this much greater thing. But there's something else going on here. I watched an amazing podcast, the Way Forward podcast with Alex Zek. He had a guest on recently, a gentleman by the name of Brother Truth. And how fitting is that for what we're discussing here today? But this gentleman just had such a way about him. I don't want to say that I've come across similar characters, because I think he was very unique in where he was at in his own life. It really got me thinking that there's more going on here than just belief. It's not a matter of, oh, if I just believe in myself enough, that I'll make these things happen and everything will be great and I'll be happy and my life will be perfect. These are the unrealistic expectations or assumptions that we tell ourselves often in the back of our minds. Many of us, not all of us, but many, myself included, we go through these inner narratives of fantasy, is all I can say it is. It's not grounded in any sort of reality or in a desire to really manifest anything in a true sense. But you get people like Brother Truth, Richard Rudd, Joe Dispenza. I go on and on and on. These people are living, embodying truths in the world. They're living their truth. And I would say that they're living an objective truth. They're not even just living their truth. They don't own that truth. But they're living a common truth. Talking about common law in the law circles. Well, common truth is also a thing, and it's attached, very deeply to common truth, common law. They're inseparable. So how can you have a law that's not based in truth? That's based on a lie or some deception or an illusion, right? Think about the legal system. It's all illusion, and yet we call that law. So if we go beyond mere belief, right, where do we get to? We get to a point of practicality. I always seem to funnel back to practicality because that's important for me. I'm a bit of a skeptic, a lot of a skeptic. I have a pretty rigorous scientific side, and I have a pretty flexible spiritual side, I would say. So it's usually harmonizing and balancing these two aspects. But on the practicality side, we have to practice these things. So it's not enough to believe. Belief is the first step forward, let's say, but there are many, many paths, many stones to hop upon from there. I likened it yesterday in speaking with my wife to, you've ever played Super Mario RPG on the Super Nintendo? There's a part where you go to see the frogs, and you have to hop on these stones, right? You get to a point where you have to hop across, I don't know, 10, 15 stones to get to the main froggy dude. I don't remember what his name is. But it's sort of like that, where the books that you read and the people that you learn from, the Joe Dispenzas of the world, the Brother Truths and Richard Reds, they'll help you to find the first couple of stones. They'll even help you to navigate your way across a couple. But that's all they can do for you. They can't help you get across to the other side. They can help you find one or two stones, maybe. We don't have to put a number on it. But they can help you for the first part, right? That's the belief. That's the, I read this thing, and I think I can actually do this myself. That's the belief part of it, which is only a small yet integral part of the whole process. But they'll only be able to get you past the first, maybe second stone. After that, you still have 15, 20 stones, who knows, ahead of you to get to the other side. You're going to be the one that has to hop across those. No one can move your legs for you and make you jump. No one can safely guide you to the edges and to navigate with your footing so that you don't fall in the water or slip. Only you can do that. So hopefully you see where I'm going with this, is that it's so far beyond just belief. It's not a fake it till you make it at all. That's only the beginning. Where the core root of it is staying in this zone of full potential, of the divine, of living here. It's just, for some of us, not easy, right? Because we doubt ourselves and we think it can't be that easy. Not that it's that easy, but it can't be that simple. It can't be that intuitive, right? It has to be more complex than that, this life thing. But again, look to the ones who are successful in this thing, in these things. They're not always lavishly dressed, right? They're not always driving fancy sports cars, but a lot of the times they are. Why? Because at the superficial physical level, they've attained everything that they've ever wanted. And they have everything at that level that they need, and then some. So it's only a matter of time before you realize, okay, I've gotten everything I needed at the physical level, and there's still some gaps there. I'm still missing my sense of fulfillment or passion in life. Ah, yes, the physical is not enough, right? So then we start going beyond that. But many of us can't get to that place until we've addressed those physical needs. And how do you address those physical needs if you're constantly dealing with things like debt and poverty and just scraping by? If you're constantly worried about where am I going to get my next meal, or how am I going to pay for my next bill, living paycheck to paycheck, or worse, how could you possibly get beyond the physical need part of all this in order to start manifesting some real change? I mean, some people do it, and it's incredible that they get themselves out of these situations. Those stories are few and far between. I wish I heard more of those kind of like crawling up from the bottom stories, but you just don't hear it very often because it doesn't happen. I wish it did. More often than not, what happens is people, they crash and they burn and they reach rock bottom, and they either end their life or they give up in many ways, many different ways, through apathy or ignorance or drugs or alcohol or addiction, and they just give up. Or they don't believe in themselves enough. There's that word belief, right? Which is the first step. They didn't believe in themselves enough to get the process started. So maybe that's the way we look at it, is the belief is sort of the fuel injection part of it, where it's to get you started. It's to boost your motivation to then not just believe, but to remember who you are, remember what you are, remember where you came from, remember what you're here to do. And I think the reason why it's so difficult to stay in this position of light, for lack of a better word here, is that we forget. And we have to remember. Teach ourselves to remember, and then help each other to remember. You know, when you're feeling down, it's my job as a friend, as a family member, to say, hey, don't forget your light. You are light. You're my light, and you're the light of the world. Get to the quotes here in just a second, because that's the perfect segue. And when I'm down, vice versa, right? We're all human, we're all weak, but we're all also infinite and super strong because we're based on divine light. Our soul is there to remind us what we really are. Sparks of the divine. And that has infinite power within it. Infinite opportunities for self-care and evolution and growth, and you name it. Like, imagine, okay, I know 99% of us struggle every day, but imagine your life. That's the practice that we were just talking about, the practice part of this. Imagine your life where every day you wake up and you feel blessed. You cannot believe how lucky you are to get a chance at living another day on this earth, this beautiful place where you don't even know, the possibilities are infinite. You don't even know how things are going to play out, and you don't want to know. You just want to experience it, and you just want to love every moment of it. An ecstatic life, right? For a lot of people, it seems impossible. They don't think that they could ever get there. It's just around the corner. I think if people realize how close that is, that they would try harder to attain it. You know? And again, there's nothing I say to you, there's nothing I say on these videos that I wouldn't also say to myself. I'm not trying to put myself above anybody. I'm not trying to say I'm some guru or some master of these things. As I discussed on the last video, it's a sort of channeling process. What happens here, I get in these like thought streams. That's why I started calling these sort of videos thought streams, because it's a sort of channeling process where these insights are just coming. And I feel like it's just my job to pass it along, not from a place of expertise or mastery necessarily, but from a place of like a deep desire to help others to find their own mastery, right? And in the process, I help myself to find my own mastery. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I think it does. But see, I'm learning. I'm still very much learning, learning to be a man, learning to be soul, learning to be a dad, learning to be a good partner, learning to be a good worker, learning to be a good entrepreneur. All these titles that we take on, many of them come with duties and obligations. They also come with some benefits to us. So, but never forgetting, right? You say the same in the spiritual world as you say in the law world, which is we never should forget who we are, which on the law side it's the same. Spark of the divine, living man or woman. On the spiritual side, spark of the divine, living man or woman. So again, no separation, right? Just like the last video, dissolving those lines of demarcation or delineation, because they don't exist. That's what helps us to stay firm in our light, is dissolving those boundaries, remembering who we are, remembering why we're here, where we come from, what we truly are, and then going forward with that confidence of knowing that we already have everything that we've ever wanted. We already are everything we've ever wanted to be. It's already happened. We know time is an illusion. So all the things we've ever wanted have already been fulfilled. It's just a matter of connecting the dots now. And that happens by being in our light every day. But it's so easy to get caught in, webs of uncertainty or lack of confidence or insecurity. And then just stop, kind of bonk on it, right? All the while not realizing that the attainment of true fulfillment is just around the corner. It's right there. It's right out of our grasp. We just need to advance a little forward to be able to grab it. And advancing forward is living every day, every moment in our life. Okay. And I know that sounds really out there and it's vague and it's hard to grasp, but everybody's got that voice in the back of their head. None of that's schizophrenic right here. If you're hearing multiple voices in your head, maybe that's something else. But everybody's got that little voice in the back of the head, like you see on the cartoons, right? That conscience. I'm not talking about the devil and angel on the shoulders there. That's something else. Well, I won't get into it, but this is something else. It's I say at the back because for me that's where it seems to be coming from. It's like the back of the brain. I don't know why, but the little voice almost for me comes from the back right. I'll have to look into why that might be. But it's never wrong. I equate it with my Merlin side, right? Matt struggles with all kinds of things. Matt's insecure. Matt is weak. Matt has problems. Merlin has no problems, ever. And it seems unrealistic, but that aspect of yourself is impervious to problems in the human sense, right? Because it's not human. It's the spirit side of you. It's not prey or folly to all certain things that your human body is, or even the mind, because it's not the mind and it's not the body. So it allows you to do superhuman things, almost. It's the way it seems, but really, these superhuman abilities are part of our human nature. We just, again, forgot them. It's a matter of remembering all the great things that we can do that is sort of bred out of us in a lot of ways. And really, I think it's just a matter of living in our life. So let's finish with these Bible quotes here. And I think this will summarize and encapsulate the concept of living in our light. One friend likes to say, Christify yourself, right? And that is living in your light. Let's look at John 8:12. I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will have the light of life and will never walk in darkness. This is the Good News Bible version, by the way. I like that one the best, just because it's plain English. But what John's saying here, what Jesus is saying, the greater meaning is that, and relating it back to what we've been talking about, live in your light and you can do anything. You can literally do anything. If I do things from a place of knowing, right? And it's not to say that I'm always going to live there, because I'm not perfect. I'm human and I'm not perfect, and I will err, and I will learn from that error. But if most of the time I'm living and acting from a place of light, there's not much to worry about there. There's not a rigorous, drawn-out process of decision-making. Very clear. You just listen to the voice. The voice is never wrong. Because the voice in many ways, in all ways, is God. It's your God voice. And when you don't listen to it, generally the lessons become harder. Because you're shying away from your destiny in a way. You are rejecting the lessons that the universe is trying to teach. And it's only by being humble and dropping the ego and saying, okay, I'm reluctantly going to learn this lesson now. Now we can move forward. Now we can live in the light. So this first quote is saying, live in your light and follow the truth. It's just what we'll get to next. The light and the truth are almost synonymous. And you'll be fine. Then you don't have to worry about darkness. And I think that's even mentioned a little bit later on here. I actually don't have that one, but I wanted to put it. The whole valley of shadow of darkness shall fear no evil, that one. I don't remember what quote that is, but I wanted to put that one in here as well. Maybe we do that next time. All right, John 8:31-32. If you will obey my teaching, in other words, if you live in your light, you are really my disciplines. You are in accordance with God. I'm translating it here in layman's terms. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So it's all repeating the same things that we've been talking about in this video. John 9:5. While I am in the world, I am the light for the world. So Jesus, as we look at that, let's just go to the next one. John 14:6. I am the way, the truth, and life, and no one goes to the Father except by me. Let's put these two together and make sense of this whole thing. While I am in the world, so in other words, while truth and light are in the world, I am the light for the world. So the light is the light for the world. How do we say that otherwise? The light is the truth, and the truth is the light. While those things are important to people in the world, we'll be fine, right? We'll be able to find our inner divinity. We'll be able to reconnect with soul and with source. That's what he's saying by no one goes by the Father except by me. You have to be living in your light and living in accordance with truth in order to attain your inner divinity. That's what I get from combining those two passages together. God is perfectly willing to help those who are willing to help themselves, but also is bound by the fact that humans have free will. You can't interfere. Otherwise, that wouldn't be free will. And we're also free to reconnect with our truth and our light in our lives at any time. So the free will goes both ways. Now, this is one that may not necessarily connect at all levels with this one, but in a way it does, because what it's saying, Matthew 10:34-39, what it's saying here for me what I've always taken from this is that the truth and the light is more important than anything. And that seems hard to understand, considering again that we're very superficial, and we're always worried about meeting the needs of the physical and neglecting the needs of the mental and the spiritual. But really, without truth and without living in our light, what do we have? We have a life of fear and insecurity and lack of confidence and lack of cooperation with our neighbor and understanding. We have the world we have now. So what it's saying, and it seems very harsh when you first read it, but it's one of my favorite Bible quotes for the reason that it's so deep. There's so many different layers to it that you can meditate on this one for hours and you'll keep finding new insights. Let's just read through it. Do not think that I have come to bring peace to the world. No, I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. First of all, let's stop there. What does that mean, a sword? Well, it's a division. In a sense, God and Jesus brings choice, right? Do you want to be separated by boundaries, or do you want to be one with everything? You have to decide based on, in a large part, your actions. I plan to set sons against their fathers, daughters against their mothers, daughters-in-law against their mothers-in-law. Your worst enemies will be members of your own family. And that one cuts deep for me because I first came upon this quote. I'd read it before, but it started to ring true during the COVID days, where that's exactly what was happening. Members of their own family were turning on each other. A lot of them were turning each other into the self-appointed authority figures and ratting each other out over not being vaccinated or meeting in groups or whatever ridiculousness, not obeying the lockdowns or whatever it was. Like, people were turning on each other, and it caused great division in a lot of families. So I think it's not the sword that caused the division. It was the decision to allow the sword to divide. Because, like I said, Jesus brings not division, but a choice. And if you don't put truth above everything, if you don't put your light above everything, because there's nothing more important than living your light, you have problems with even your own family members, fathers and mothers and sons and daughters turning on each other. That's because they're not living their life. If they were, there would be no division, and that would be the choice. You choose not to be divided. That's what the sword represents. It's a double-edged sword. Let's keep reading here. Those who love their father or mother more than me are not fit to be my disciples. So this, replace the word here, father or mother. You can also say politicians. Because technically in their eyes, in the legal system, they're majors and we're minors, right? We being the citizens of the country or whatever. So if you put those political figures above truth and light, bad things are going to happen. Those who love their son or daughter more than me are not fit to be my disciples. This is saying you're teaching your children lies. Right? If you don't put truth and light above everything, even your own son and daughter, you're going to be teaching them lies. And you're not going to be teaching them to live in their own light because you haven't even figured out how to do it for yourself. This is my interpretation of this, right? Just don't take this as like gospel now. No pun intended. This is my interpretation based on the revelations that I've had and the insights and coincidences and synchronicities is a better word. The synchronicities that I've had have brought me to this interpretation. But of course, you're free to reinterpret these verses any way that you choose. And you, of course, goes without saying you're able to agree or disagree with anything I say here. But hopefully the pieces are starting to come together and understand what's happening here. Those who do not take up their cross and follow in my steps are not fit to be my disciples. If you're not willing to make the highest sacrifice, if you're not willing to lay down your life for truth and light, then it's hopeless, right? Again, it's that choice. Carrying the cross and following in Jesus' steps is saying, are you willing to Christify yourself or not? Because if not, then you can pretty much count on continuing to live in darkness. Whereas if you're willing to make the ultimate sacrifice and follow in those steps, you can be sure that you will eventually find truth and light. In fact, I would probably say it would be fairly swift. But that's living in a place of, I hate to say servitude because that conjures up all kinds of negative emotions, but imagine if we were all in service to each other, for real. What does that world look like? It's a worry-free world. It's a world of not having to be concerned over basic things like shelter, clean food, water, unity, togetherness, all that stuff. It's just the default. But again, that's not the world we live in because people are not willing to pick up their cross and follow in Christ's footsteps and Christify themselves and live in their light. So it's really a tragedy. It's the human drama. It's the human tragedy of it all. It's that humans, like Alan Watts said, they want to convince themselves so bad that they're not God. I don't know why. It's crazy. It's like people want to suffer, and it's not necessary. Not always necessary anyway. Sometimes it is. All right, let's finish up here. Those who try to gain their own life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake will gain it. Yeah, I mean, that one's pretty self-evident. That speaks for itself. But I mean, if you're willing to make the ultimate sacrifice, like I said, you can count on finding some light and some truth. Whereas if you don't, if you make the choice to remain stuck in the physical body and see your life as being some trapping, where you're just powerless to the whole thing and it's just happening to you, then you can count on darkness. I think that's what it's saying here, but it's also saying that you'll be reborn. If you live in your light, it's like being reborn. It's like having a second chance of life. But we always have the choice to revert. I don't like to see it as it's a pull to the dark side, right? It's not Satan that's like trying to lure you back to the dark side necessarily. It's more that we doubt ourselves. We have the ability to Christify ourselves, but we also have the ability to Satanize ourselves in the sense of doubting ourselves and allowing our own darkness to overcome ourselves. So give it all up for the sake of living in your light. For some of us, that might mean giving up our addictions, or our dependencies, or our attachments. Or for some of us, that might mean selling some or all of our material possessions. I can think of a few people that have done exactly that, and they're much happier now. Because they're in their light. They realize that the material possessions that they had been holding on to, be it car, house, the clothes on your back, whatever it is that you're attaching to at the physical level, was not bringing you joy and fulfillment, and it was not allowing you to live every day in your light. For some of us, it might mean letting go of people, or a bad job, or some behavior that's been hurting you for a long time that you just haven't brought yourself to stop. Poor eating, I don't know, just one example, but you get what I'm saying. Some of us walking in our light might be reconnecting with nature or with our spiritual side that we've forgotten since we were children. So for others, it might be doing exactly what I'm doing now and just listening to that call to share and to be the conduit or to be a helper for somebody in the moment, or to do something that you know needs to be done, not for any specific reason, but that you're just called to do something to influence things in a good way. Because let's be honest here, we're often great influences for each other, but not always in a positive way. Sometimes we are sources of temptation or frustration or struggle for other people, and we don't even realize it. And then sometimes we do realize it, we do it anyway. So these are the things that we need to work through in order to be able to even live our life. So there's a lot of work involved. Bottom line, you got to do the work. There's no shortcut. There's no way around it. No workaround. You have to do the work. Just imagine the energy that you would exude every day by simply living in your light. Imagine that energy output that you'd be sending out into the world, and how people would just gravitate towards you. People would likely get the automatic sense that, like, this guy or this girl has got it put together, like, has really got it figured out, not in a sense of superiority complex, but more in, wow, they're really living it. That's what you want, right? That's what you want for yourself. That's what you should want for your loved ones and your friends and everyone. Again, I know I'm a bit of a hippie here and a utopian. I really think that if we were all living in our light, holy shit, what a world it would be. What a different world. One of camaraderie and support and just being there for your neighbor, for yourself. Anyway, we said enough for one episode. I think that was a good one. A lot of things came to light, unintended. And what we can do is have more practical sessions where we're thinking through, what does living in your light look like? How does it feel? What are we doing every day to fulfill that destiny and to live in accordance with the little voice, with the conscience? What does that look like? Because it's very easy to just speak of such things, but what does it look like in one's life? And how does one specifically practice such a thing? How is it even done? What are you doing? Is it just a matter of getting your bare feet on the soil every day, or getting in the sun? Are you writing things down? Are you reading stuff? Are you watching videos? Are you talking with other people about it? What's happening there? Are you meditating for 3 hours a day? Like, what does this look like? So maybe in future thought streams, we can put some more thought into the process, without being too rigorous, of course, and rigid about it. But what does the process of practicing our manifestation skills look like? I think in a lot of ways, it's going to look like manifesting your desires with the whole chippy thing. It's going to look like that, except it's going to be a lot more involved, and you're going to have to be a lot more confident with yourself, which might require some work. That might be a lot of work for some people to even get the confidence enough to even believe in yourself enough to make it happen. Because that's a huge first step, is you have to first let go of all your insecurities and trust in the universe enough, trust in God, that you'll be taken care of. Like, I really think, the brother truths of the world have shown us that it's possible. It's more than possible. It's attainable with not that much effort. It just takes some consistency. and some drive and determination to get there. You really have to live. And again, I'm not saying this out of experience now. I've studied this sort of thing enough to know what needs to be done. Is you really can't take no for an answer. There's no ifs, ands, or buts on this one. It will be done. It's just a matter of when and holding on until it does. Don't let go. Think back when you were a child and you could manifest things so much easier. You really wanted something, I think back to when I wanted my first NES, Nintendo Entertainment System. I was probably 10 or 11 years old, and I had a paper route, and I saved up and I saved up and I saved up, and then coincidentally, as we know, there are no real coincidences in life, but synchronistically, a friend of my dad's at work had a Nintendo that he was selling that was like brand new. He just bought it, didn't really like it, and decided to sell it. So I got it at a huge discount. It was like $50 off or something. Instead of $160 or $180, he was selling it for like $110. So I saved up and I saved up, and it took me a couple of months. And I finally saved up the money, and my dad probably chipped in a couple bucks at the end to get me there a little faster. I got it. That's it. That's manifesting your desires at the physical level. And those are the things we do when we're young to practice those skills so that when in our adult life, we can manifest, dare I say, real things, right? Now, use the word real loosely here because real for a lot of people means physical. But when I say real, I mean real internal things, like worthwhile things. Because Nintendos come and go, Nintendos break. But what we're manifesting at the internal level, such as what Brother Truth has done, is permanent. It's a permanent change. It's an evolution. It may be epigenetic. We don't know. It could be passed on. Actually, I know for a fact that just doing that for oneself will have a ripple effect for many generations to come, and probably undoing some ancestral drama in the process. As I recall in the podcast, that's exactly what he had said, that it had healed some of his ancestral trauma. Not surprising to me at all, because this stuff is insanely powerful. It's probably the most powerful skill that we could learn. And it's something that most people don't even get time of day to. It's really tragic. So, oh boy, almost an hour in. We're gonna end it there, but I really hope you manage to get to the end of this one, because there's a lot packed into it. And I'm gonna start making more of these videos. I'm gonna start really putting this stuff into practice myself, taking it to a new level, kicking it into high gear, and let's make some shit happen. Let's manifest some real change in this world. In November or December of 2023, I wrote this thing from the perspective of Merlin, who was making a vow essentially to manifest some real change in the world, not out of ego or any personal interest in anything, but just in a deep-seated need in the world right now of some major change, especially at the global and international level. There are some major changes that need to be done, some reprioritization, and some pivotlings, to say the least. And I've already seen amazing stuff to the point where I've taken down my paper now, and I feel like it's been fulfilled. We were able to, just from writing down stuff and setting our intention out there and meditating on it and revisiting it regularly, we were able to manifest some real change in the world. I saw a group recently, I want to say it was one of Alex Zech's groups, that were trying to do some group meditation to help the people in Florida that were getting slammed by the hurricane. Right? Is it a coincidence that when they started doing that same week, the severity level was lowered by like 2 points? Forgive me, I don't know the terminology of all this, but like the threat scale or whatever had been lowered significantly. Is that a coincidence that this group was doing this, and probably several other groups and individuals were doing this at the same time, praying for the people of Florida for their protection and, to help them in their time of need? So just a coincidence? Why didn't it go the other way? It ended up being worse than they thought it was going to be. So there's that kind of stuff that we're all capable of. It doesn't have to be in big groups of people, but obviously the more people that put their minds and souls to this kind of stuff, it's going to increase the potency for sure. But we're all capable of manifesting great change in our lives and doing amazing things. And I think if we're living true and living in our light, then everybody around us is going to benefit, including ourselves, because they will see there's another example of someone who's living it, right? Maybe I can do it too. That's exactly what happened to me. I've seen so many people now who are living it. I'm like, oh, why can't I do that? Right? And hopefully by me doing it and other people doing it, that others will catch on that this is not some innate gift or talent or ability that I have that others don't have, or most people don't have. Everybody's got this capability. Everybody has this ability within them to manifest these real changes and manifest their desires in their life at any time. It's just, again, we doubt ourselves, right? We stand in our own way. We can't believe that it could possibly be that easy or that simple. But it is. All you have to do is just listen to the conscience and walk in the light. If that means reading some Bible verses every day, do that. If that means having to go out of your comfort zone a little bit to say something that might feel embarrassing, then that's what you got to do. Point is to just keep putting those steps one in front of the other until we get to the other side. Cross those stones ourselves, right? It's insanely empowering to get to the other side. I can't speak from experience here again, but I can only imagine, based on what I've seen other people say, that it's insanely empowering because then you can do it. You trust your abilities. It's almost like Superman realizing that he's Superman. Oh crap, I can fly. I can punch through walls. I can see with X-ray vision. I didn't think I could do any of these things. Well, I'm Superman, How could you know you're Superman but then doubt your abilities? We know that we're source. We know that we're spirit. We know that we're part God. And yet, we doubt our abilities to manifest real change in the world. What's going on there? I don't think it's just Satan. Okay, if there's a satanic force out there, which wouldn't surprise me, I don't think it's just that. I think we're getting in our own way. Maybe it's the satanic part of ourselves that's getting in the way, right? Instead of, like I said before, instead of Christifying, we're satanicizing. That's even a word. Because it would make sense that if we had a dark part of ourselves, which we know we do, it's going to be very scared. It's going to be very insecure. It's going to be very rooted in the physical and the mundane. It's going to be have doubt. It's going to have a desire to just not move and to hide from the light, not to embrace the light and live in its glory, but rather to turn away from it and live in darkness and in shadow. And that's where, unfortunately, a lot of us find ourselves living in the shadow of a better life. It's really sad. It's really sad because the light is like right there. It's right there. It's actually right here. It's right here in all of us, in every single one of us, no matter what. It's always there and it always will be there. It's one of those things, right? Energy can't be created, can't be destroyed. It can only be transformed. So you have the ability to transform your light into darkness if you want. I don't know why you didn't want to, but doesn't change the fact that the light is still there and the darkness can be then transformed back into light. The other thing we can consistently look at is our musicians of the world who are our modern bards. They have a lot of truth in their lyrics as well. And you look at these powerful Avicii lyrics. I mean, sometimes you lose and sometimes you're shooting broken arrows in the dark. But I see the hope in your heart. To me, that's a very powerful one because it's saying that it's never too late. We all have that light. I was saying, we all have the light. It's there forever. You just need to tap into it. And here, for anyone that suffers from anxiety or depression or anything like that, all the breath in your lungs is stronger than the tears in your eyes. First time I heard that one, it hit me deep. Because that's exactly that's Christ the Redeemer. That's bringing him back from the brink. That's being reborn. This is the Phoenix. That no matter how bad you feel, you're still breathing, your heart's still pumping blood, you still got life. You still have work to do. You still have a reason for being here. So don't give up. All right. We'll end it there. Boy, that was a doozy. Wasn't expecting it to be, but hopefully you got something out of that. I feel drained. I feel like that drained me. A lot of powerful insights there. Okay, I'll end it there. Thanks for watching. If you got through the end of this, wow. I'm impressed. Hopefully you took away some good insights though. That was a whopper. All right, my friends. Take care. Be well. Love you. Talk soon.
The power within. 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 The power within.